Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your book. People thinking right in my living room. I do what I do for you. Today, got a good one for you. Writers in 25 Rules live by storytelling, story with a message, message in a story for life. These are life lessons. This is going to be another one. Sorry about that. Right thinking mission is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Higher spiritual. Listen to them words. Right thinking is a way of life through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka knowing thyself. That's my mission, to get all my right thinkers to do just that. Know themselves, okay? And to know thyself is heavenly. The tidbit there. Let's go. Now I ask the question for all. Do you know who you are? Here's the question. Know thyself. One of these persons are you. That's for you to decide. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. Stay tuned. I got you. I could teach you. That's what I do for you. A person who knows not and believe that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can wake them up with spiritual knowledge. Trust me, I can do that. A person who knows and knows that they know is why. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself. And to Maya be true. You have to understand that Maya is all about order, balance, and everything that's divine and good. Without Maya, you can't get into heaven. Heaven? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it. I've been listening to sermons last week. I've been hearing a few things about heaven, so I got to instead of I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in the ring. Here we go. Right thinkers, let's talk about heaven. Is a state of mind, not a place. I'm just saying, this from my perspective. Let's do this. The kingdom of heaven is within, but not a place, but a state of being, a state of mind. Heaven is making that spiritual awakening, aka connection, heart mind coherence, aka knowing thyself, nihas, in order to know thyself. These are the levels you have to reach, obtain, and understand. Spiritual awakening happens, and then you only happens when you what? Live in it. The phrase, Our Father who art in heaven, right there. No, let me keep going. Okay. What is that art and where is he doing to that? Where's heaven? Question. Okay. You meet God in heaven. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You meet God consciously in a state of mind. Not after you die. I'm just saying. Heaven is when you wake up and realize God and you are one. Okay? So this fictitious place, this house with many rooms, I ain't buying that. Why? Because I know heaven is not a building, not an edifice, not a place. It's a state of being. I just know the truth spiritually. Hell, watch this, is also the same state of mind, but it's based on the position and condition that your body is in. This physical world, oh, it's hell. Why? Because the body's going to deteriorate, it's going to run them up, it's going to die. Heaven is forever. So conceptually, when you raise the level of understanding, your immortality is set. When this body dies, the consciousness in the spirit will go back where it comes from. We done talked about this, but this is about heaven and hell conceptually. I'm just gonna break that down for you, but I have a clear, concise understanding about heaven and hell also. Okay, let's go. But earth, the devil's domain, according to religious concepts. I don't subscribe to that one either. See, because I don't subscribe to it, don't mean I don't respect it, understand it, and give the people who follow it their respect for doing that. I don't drag on them. I'm not beat for none of that. Understand? I'm way past that. But my concept is, I do have a concept. Our bodies are hell dwellers. Why? In time and space, living on this plane of 3 dimension where we have to taste, touch, see, feel, all those senses that we use in our body to get along. When we go into the next level, you don't need those. Spirit, once it elevates, could care less about the body. Why? Because it's going back to the maker. The spirit only concerned about the body doing what? Waking it up, becoming enlightened, get to heavenly state of mind. Earth is good for what? The 5 senses that we use to survive. This is the human experience that we have to go through from being spiritual beings to human beings in the flesh. Not one begotten son. We all human beings in flesh. We are spiritual beings covered in flesh. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm trying to maintain. Earth, you're in hell. This physical state is hell. The body cannot, will not go ascend to heaven. If you're living good while you're here in hell, meaning living right, doing right, and handling yourself accordingly, heaven is guaranteed for you. After this body deteriorates, the spirit goes on to that place. The body is not, so you don't need a building. You don't need sex either. I tell you, right thinking go from the neck up. Why? Because the body's going to not be around anyway. But if you're living for the pleasures of the body, that's the ego. And that's, again, that's what will keep you bound to hell. That's the problem. It's another lesson. I ain't going there either. Okay? Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. I got a nice little layout here. Stick to the plan. Here you go. Hell and heaven is one and the same coin. Hell is heads, heaven is tails. Heavens could be heads, or hell can be. Don't make a difference how you flip it. It's going to be one and the other. Why? Because you can't have one without the other. If everything was heavenly, then we wouldn't experience hell. If everything was hell, we wouldn't know about heaven. See where I'm going with that? Opposites, duality, trust me, it don't change. I can use the same philosophical concepts for any situation, any scenario you give my mind. It's not going to change. Truth don't change. That's why. Okay? Understand that. Watch this. Heaven can't exist without what? Hell. And vice versa. And you control them both. Hello. That's where the onus falls on you, the individual. Hell, bad, heaven, being good. You're the creator of both, really. And you need to understand that. Why? You create your heaven, you can create your hell. It's your choice. Free will. See where I'm going with this? It don't change. I keep telling you the philosophical concept. Don't bow, don't bend, and won't give in to nothing that you think it will. Why? Because it stands on its own merit. We live in a dualistic duality world where you can't just have one thing. Everything has an equal and opposite counterpart. The creation story, gotta do this again. I don't really have time. But you had dry air, we breathe that. You got moist air that comes from heaven, that's water, that's the dew. We don't breathe that. If we just had this and not that, we would have a problem. Why? There's no moisture. Everything would be dry. I'm going now. I'm just trying to show you where you got earth, you got the heavenly body over top. Again, you can't have one without the other. There's a story for that too, but back to the lesson. There's so much stuff I can do with this, but I'm going to try to stick to the lesson. That's why. Here you go. Your boy Einstein, well, he didn't create the theory of relativity. Egyptians told you about that in the creation story. We call it duality. I call it relativity. Who knows? Whatever, but it's the same thing. Then you got the scales of Maya. Proves what? You see me do this all the time. Opposites: dry, moist, earth, heaven, etc., etc. I keep explaining that to you. That won't change. Let's go now. Ignorance equals hell. Not knowing who you are, hell. Not knowing how to be, hell. So you're going to catch all the bad part that you are ignorant of until you do what? Wake up and come enlightened. But let's deal with the ignorant part of hell first. I got it right here. Ignorance cannot be bliss. Not knowing yourself is going to be hell to pay. Why? Because you're going to do things, and the consequences for doing those things are going to keep you where you are in hell, so to speak. Okay? Always paying for your transgressions. Karma. But even again, you reap what you sow. If you're doing negative stuff and bad stuff, you're going to get that in return. Those who do the good things get good things in return. I've been telling you that for years. I'm going to continue to tell you that. But I want my young people to get a grasp of that. And when they figure that part out, ooh, Nelly, yeah, it'll be a different ball game. Sorry. Ignorance is the opposite to knowledge. Ignorance, hell; knowledge, heaven. See where we're going with that? You can pick your poison, so to speak. Ignorance, darkness, hell is waking, walking in darkness. Not good. AKA right thinking. When you're walking in darkness of ignorance, you cannot know who you are. And if you're in the dark, you can't see. Conceptually, ignorance is the enemy of knowledge. Hell is the enemy of heaven. The devil, opposite enemy of God. You see how we're going with this? So understand that. So, but the one thing we need to teach our young, your decision making and your consequences of your decision making. If you make good ones, you will be rewarded. You make bad ones, you're going to be punished. Don't lie and tell them anything other than that, because that's all it is. Whether you agree, subscribe, don't care. So, last one, I'm about to wrap it up again. I appreciate you. I hope you're getting this one. Now we get to the good part. How do you get to heaven? Knowledge of self is heaven, aka using right thinking philosophy. When you master yourself, you will make it to heaven. Conceptually. Heaven, watch this, is a spiritual mental thing. Having knowledge of self, aka knowing yourself, knowing who you are. I am God. But when you come to grips and understand the essence of who you are, you get the knowledge and consciousness of how it works, you'll be just fine. I can teach that. That's what I teach. God dwells in heaven. Okay, they say in heaven. When you know him, you're in the what? Heavenly state of mind. You're not going to see him physically. Your five senses can't get you to the next level. We're working on the chakra system. I'm taking you to self-mastery a different way. We're using the chakras, okay? The kundalini, the serpent power, whatever you want to call it. I got it all figured out for you, so I'm doing that. But trust me, stay tuned. I got you. Let me take this home. Knowing thyself by what? Studying and living what you learn in your spiritual truths and live by them daily. I'm not bowing, bending, and giving to something what somebody else think and feel. Could care less. Sorry, again. Calm it down. When you master right thinking philosophy, you will have reached that state of mind, what they call heaven. That's God consciousness. Heaven is that state of mind that all spiritual enlightened people live for. Heaven is knowing thyself. Okay? I'm in heaven. And This is what heaven feels like. Yeah, that state when you are blissed out. Why? Because you know who you are. Not because you won a championship. Not because you got married. Not because you got a bunch of money. Knowing God trumps all of that. Trust me. I'll be back. Hope you enjoyed the lesson.